Welcome back. It's the Big Blue Banter New York Giants football podcast. I'm Dan Schneider, joined as always my co-host Nick Filato. And today we are talking about what has us excited about this New York Giants football team heading into the 2025 season. And there are reasons to believe that both Nick and I are excited about this team for the first time in a while. It's tempered excitement. We're not like sitting here saying we are the Kansas City Chiefs. We are going to beat the Eagles. We understand our place in this whole thing. But I do believe the Giants have a really good chance to take a big step forward as a team. That means both defense individually, where I think they have a bigger chance to take a step forward, and even offense, where I really think there's an opportunity to take a step forward. Hopefully, special teams as well does their jobs and coaching even in that regard. But there are opportunities for this team to be a team we can actually appreciate, Nick, and respect and feel happy about watching on a week-to-week basis. Not like, there's another Giants game this week. We got to watch tape of Daniel Jones and Drew Lock. We have to do this. It's not a have to anymore, I hope. I hope it will become a want to watch this team, even if they don't win all these tough games against the Chiefs and all these tough games on their schedule. At least a team that can take the Chiefs to the fourth quarter with a lead, surprising, and be like, we lost, but, it's a moral victory. And I'm not trying to celebrate all the moral victories, by the way, Nick, but this is a team that needs any kind of victory you can get, moral or not so moral. And by the way, just to be clear, I don't believe beating a team like the Colts in week 17 is any close to a moral victory. That team wasn't good last year. They didn't make the playoffs. Ultimately, the Colts, they were a crap team. But competing and almost beating a team like the Chiefs, that's the real version of what a moral victory is, like one of these elite teams. Same thing would go for the Eagles, a team the Giants have struggled to compete against when the Eagles have actually tried to win games. So, without further ado, Nick, let's start this thing off. What would be one of the main things that has you excited for the Giants in 2025?
I know this is 2025.
Okay.
But
we can extend it.
Well, I feel like my excitement, it's festering right now. And it's just that the Giants have a long-term plan at quarterback. I don't know if the long-term plan will work, Dan. I'm not prognosticating that it will, but there's at least that option in our back pocket now. We might not see him play Jackson Dart once in 2025, and that doesn't even necessarily matter to me. But if it's week 6 and the Giants suck, I don't have to just sit here and be like, well, we're going to start Daniel Jones this entire, we got Drew Lock waiting. No, Jackson Dart is in the freaking building, and that is the hand-picked quarterback from our quarterback guru head coach, Brian Daboll. And the sheer fact that reality is the one that I am living in, Nick Filato is living in, that makes me excited. And I know that goes beyond 2025, but I will also feel that excitement and that reality in 2025.
Yeah.
So I'm starting with that one.
And I'm making this a change to this show. This show is just what has us excited about the Giants. We can take out the 2025. You can just be excited about this team because future is important. It's not just about 2025. We realize that. We talk about that all the time on this show. And I'll take that point a step further, Nick, and I'll just say what has me excited about the Giants, and you could say for now or forever, is that we really definitely feel, or at least I feel very confident that we're going to have a quarterback upgrade this year, no matter what happens. We're going to have better quarterback play on the field, in the film room than we've had last year and in years past, because Russell Wilson is a much better quarterback on tape than Daniel Jones. They are not remotely comparable. They are not remotely comparable at the line of scrimmage. They are not remotely comparable pre-snap in their ability to get the team set, make checks with the receivers, get the offensive line set, post-snap and what they're able to process, where their mind will go, post-snap and how they gather, how their dropbacks look. Is one clunky? Is one a little bit less clunky? Post-snap, can they get off reads? Can they move through their progression? We're going to be looking at a completely different level of play at the quarterback position than we've been accustomed to watching on film. And it's a really big deal. We're also going to be looking at a completely different level of efficiency and upside in the vertical passing game for the Giants. That's the biggest one. Like, I think you can maybe make the case, Nick, that it's the bigger upgrade is going to be just from the pre-snap, post-snap stuff as far as the processing goes. That may be where the biggest upgrade is. I really think they were really limited with Locke, DeVito, and Jones in a processing standpoint, pre to post-snap. But I think a stronger case could probably be made that in the deep vertical passing game, it's just a completely different team than we're used to seeing from the quarterback position. Russell Wilson diagnoses things fast and gets the ball out. Like I mentioned a few podcasts ago, maybe a month ago, Nick, I saw a lot of examples on his film with the Steelers, 3 or 5 step drops, typically these 3-step drops where he just had diagnosed it pre-snap and got the ball out to avert, either in the slot or on the outside. This was just like what I saw with Tyrod Taylor in 2023 when we had the number one explosive pass rate over his time. It's something I never saw with Jones, Lock, or DeVito. They just couldn't do it for whatever reason. They weren't confident enough in it. They didn't process it. But we're going to see that now. We're going to see plays where pre-snap, it looks like the Giants are in a tough spot, and Russ just sees it. He finds it. He finds the one-on-one. He leads the receiver into space, and look at that. Boom, Neighbors comes down with the football and makes a play on the football. And that's the type of stuff that really has me excited. The difference in quarterback play. I think we're going to see an upgrade in ball placement, man, pretty much across the board. I think Russ is even a better ball placement quarterback on the, maybe not the intermediate stuff. That's where Jones was kind of at his best, but certainly in the 1 to 5 yards range. That stuff around the line of scrimmage killed me with Jones. It wasn't talked about a lot, but the balls were never put in optimal position on the swing passes, on the screens, on the quick, and you were always killing the Giants. And Russ does a much better job with that.
Which sucked too, because Wan'Dale Robinson has Tyrannosaurus Rex arms out
Right.
there. So you need to be pretty precise with your accuracy if you want to maximize the talent that is Wan'Dale Robinson and hit him upfield and allow him to get yards after the catch. Because these milliseconds mean so much. And when you have to adjust your body, those milliseconds, they get erased, and the defense can now close width on you. And now you're tackled. And what could have been a 12-yard gain is a 3-yard gain.
Right.
And now instead of having a first down, it's 2nd and 7. And those were instances that we saw so much with 8 back there. And now with Russ back there, hopefully that can be eliminated and we get more accurate passes, not just, as you said, on that vertical plane, which you're going to get outside the numbers. That's pinpoint. That is elite type stuff. What we saw last year. Yeah, what we saw last year in Pittsburgh in one of his worst years as a professional, as he's getting a little bit long in the tooth, he was delivering dimes outside the numbers with those moon balls still. So if that can maintain, this offense will become more explosive. And geez, if there's anything we've desired as a podcast, it's let's be more explosive as an offense from a passing perspective. Russell Wilson will certainly help that, at least more so than Daniel Jones did.
And that was the 2 areas I thought he looked best on tape, or that was one of the areas, the deep vertical game. The second was I felt like when they did have him under center, Nick, and a lot of those like design boots, he did a good job, Russ, diagnosing where to go with the football on those plays where they move the pocket with him. And so those are the 2 areas I think he's going to really upgrade for the Giants. I think there's obvious drawbacks to Russell Wilson at this stage of his career. He takes way too many sacks. And I think at this point, you could even make the case he's going to take worse sacks than Jones took last year and than Locke took, because Jones would a lot of times scramble and just kind of put his head down, which was better end result than what Russ does, which is kind of try to escape it, keep a play alive, and then look for the throw, which sometimes leads to these 10, 12, 8-yard sacks. I saw him take with the Steelers, just totally these total drive killers. So it's not like everything will be upgraded with Russ, but overall, it's going to be such a massive upgrade. And even if they go to Winston, it's going to be a massive upgrade. And that's clear and obvious on the film too. And even if they go to Dart, I am actually confident that Dart will be better in year 1 in this system than Jones, Lock, or DeVito were on film last year. That's how bad the film was of their individual quarterback play. And it's the truth. We broke it down. Go watch it. I know it's hard for some people to accept, but it's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, so what else we got here, Dan? What else are we excited about now? I think we should just get this one out of the way. We've talked so much about it. It's on the defensive side of the football.
Okay.
The pass rush, man. I am so excited. When's the last time, Dan, that we've been this excited about the pass rush? It has to be what?
Last year.
And we were not
this.
We
made some. Not this.
We
level.
were not this excited. No way.
Not this level, but we did say that we low-key thought the Giants could be a sleeper to be one of the best.
Yes, we said they could be in a top 10 pass rush, and I agree with that assessment.
Now I think it's top 5, top 3 upside.
Well, I could argue that they had a top 10 pass rush last year. They just weren't in the position to allow themselves to actually go and get the quarterback. I don't think that's a bad take. But right now, I'm saying this could be the best pass rush if, again, the offense allows them. As we've said so many times, I don't want to beat this dead horse, but geez, I am very excited about Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Chauncey Golston, and Darius Alexander. Like, that is a lot of names right there, and not one of them is like, you're kind of reaching there. I'm not like naming some of these guys who just don't really get at the passer, but they're just bodies on the line of scrimmage. All of those players have pass rushing juice.
Yeah, it's not like you just sat there and said Nacho or even Elijah Chapman. You didn't dig to that. And then Chapman has some pass rushing juice and some outside, but not to the same extent of a Golston or a Darius Alexander, who are now the secondary options. So just to kind of take that from the macro level you brought up, take it down to the minor level, which is or micro level,
Yeah.
which is not the minor macro, the macro, or the micro macro. The micro level is, for me at least, I'm excited to see if Abdul Carter can do this thing right away in year one, because there is
Yeah,
a
man.
certain possibility that he comes into the NFL like Micah Parsons was and is immediately one of the best passers in the NFL. I don't think that's probability. I said it's a possibility. I think it probably in between possibility and probability if I had to guess and put a scale on it. But it's certainly in the realm of possibility. And that means that we could be looking at a totally different football team. Because if he has a Micah Parsons type year in year one, like Micah did with the Cowboys this rookie year, that's just a total. I mean, he changed their whole defense. They didn't have as much talent on that defense before they drafted Micah as the Giants did before they drafted Abdul, which is another thing to consider. So on the micro level, the Abdul side of this is insane to think about. The Burns side of it on the micro level, he played hurt all year to points where I watched him not be able to lift his arm up in the locker room after the game because his shoulder's so fucked up. And it's like, wow, if this kid's healthy with a lot less to worry about because everybody's worried about Carter on the other side of the line of scrimmage, what could he do? And then the third one for me would probably be, I'll couple these two together. Kayvon, I think, still could get better. I think there were signs that he got better. To us, maybe we're a little harsh on him. I don't know if it's harsh. I think we're always kind of hoping there'd be a different level for him to unlock that we still haven't seen on tape. But it doesn't mean that he's not progressing as a player. I think James Foster, I mentioned this a few podcasts ago, did a great job kind of breaking down the nuances of Thibodeau as a pass rusher from 2023 to 2024. And he saw some definite jumps there. And then Golston's going to be this little jack of, what phrase am I looking for? This little jack of all trades. That's not what I was looking for. Like a little joker type of player who you can move into the inside on certain situations as an inside pass rusher and have him in different, parts of the field. And just what can he give them? So I'm excited about the individual pieces of this pass rush and then the overall pass rush.
Now, this one is a bit long, and I could have atomized it and broke it down into different points, but I'll just collectivize it. The second year of that 2024 rookie class. And we could start here with Malik Nabers. Now, it's important to remember all of these players, man. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Look, we all love to work out. The summer's coming around. You want to look good in your bathing suit. But in order to enhance your workout, you want to go and use MitoPure from Timeline. This is a great product. When I started using it, it makes me feel stronger, gives me more energy. I recover quicker. I'm in my 30s. I still have the energy to work out. And if you want that energy, you really should give Timeline's MitoPure a shot and work it into your routine. The great year of 2025 is your year to be the best, most energized, most revitalized you. MitoPure promotes cellular renewal and mitochondrial health to address common signs of aging at the root. MitoPure is the research-backed innovation that unlocks your fullest potential. Timeline is offering 10% off your order of MitoPure right now. So go to timeline.com/banter. It's timeline.com/banter. That's TIMELINE. Malik Nabers, Tyler Nubin, Drew Phillips, Tyrone Tracy Jr., Theo Johnson, all of these players, Dan, they haven't had an offseason as a vet yet, right? So last year was a rookie year, but they were training to go to the combine. They were doing all of these interviews with teams. They had to go through that entire grueling process of the pre-draft process in general, right? Then they get thrown to the fire. You're right into rookie mini camp, OTAs, and then you're right into training camp. And then now this is their first year as professionals where they don't have to deal with any of that bullshit. They're not worried about, how fast am I going to run in my underwear? No, they're only focusing on their craft.
Good point.
And this was the best 2024. This was one of the best classes we've seen in years for the New York Giants. Yeah. And you're talking about elite talents like Malik Nabers, guys who played above what we even expected. And we thought highly of them. And with a guy like Tyrone Tracy Jr. and then the Nubins and it. So I just think all of those players being professionals now entering their second season, I am very excited to see what they can do in 2025 with an actual off season under their belt where they're not distracted by a bunch of bullshit.
Great point. And not only that, like just take away all the distractions in this and they can focus on their body and rebuilding and getting to the point where they want to be. It's the mental side of it. These guys
Yeah.
can play so much faster. Neighbors, Theo Johnson and Tracy specifically can play so much faster because they're not going to be like, where do I be on this? What does this play call mean? What's my responsibility on this? It's I know what the play call is. I know what the playbook is. I know where I'm supposed to be on the field. Now, can the ball get there to me on time? And specifically, I want to talk about Neighbors, who I'm most excited for by far out of this group of Theo Johnson, Neighbors, and Tracy. Neighbors had the fourth most unrealized air yards in the NFL last year. The fourth most, and that's despite the fact that he didn't play on the Cleveland Browns. And the reason I say that is because Jameis Winston was like hundreds of yards ahead of any quarterback when it came to air yards in the NFL last year. So you really had to play on the Browns to have that kind of stat, like a Judy and a Tillman. I know we're up there, but he played on the Giants, and yet Dable devised ways to get Neighbors open in the vertical game, but the quarterback play was just so unbelievably horrific throughout the year, really. I mean, the first 8 weeks were the worst for sure for the vertical stuff with Neighbors, but it was bad with Locke too for the most part. It was bad with Boyle. Boyle had one moment with him, and it was bad with DeVito. The vertical stuff was so freaking bad. And this guy was fourth most in unrealized air yards at the whole wide receiver position. How many times did we watch the film, Nick? I mean, the Browns one is the one that always pisses me off. That slot vert against the Browns, where it was clean pocket, and we just somehow missed that throw. And Neighbors is 4 or 5 yards of separation off a slot vert. But there were times against Dallas, Cincinnati, really throughout the entirety of his rookie season where he was open and he didn't get the ball. Now what? Now he gets the number one most efficient deep ball passer from the 2024 season as his quarterback. Those unrealized air yards, Nick, are about to become realized air yards, realized yards, I should say. And my God, am I excited about seeing Neighbors finally be able to be the vertical receiver I saw at LSU, because we did not have the quarterbacks who allowed that last year.
Remember the Dallas game when that double move he put on the corner and he was just wide open and
The ball's just floating to him on the wrong
man.
side. He just has to completely stop his momentum, flip around. That was devastating.
It's like, yeah, think about that though, man. That's 7 points right there in one play. It's deflating. Like
Even the
anybody,
throwback play from the Dallas game too, that could have been a touchdown also to Neighbors.
Yes. There's so many. There's quite a few plays like that, and despite all of that shit, Malik Neighbors still put up 109 catches for over 1,200 yards with 7 touchdowns. Had I think like a 2.17 yards per route run rate. Like he was still wildly productive despite 3 bad quarterbacks throwing him the football. And when we talk about him on, I think he caught like 46% of his contested catches. Those contested catches, he wasn't just working against one defender. He was working against the quarterback's poor ball placement.
Yeah,
the quarterback was putting him in position to come down with these. Right? Remember the
some of them were horrifically bad.
Remember the one he made against Cleveland over Martin Emerson? He
Yeah.
jumped over Martin Emerson and was just like, okay, this is going to be an interception, but I'm going to prevent that. Thank you. It's a 20-yard gain
Turned into a catch. Yeah.
Just crazy.
So many times too where he just got crushed after making the catch because the placement was so bad and the timing was so bad on the throw was so late. And those are all things that I think are going to improve this year. They can't not improve. That's the good part about this, Nick, is I don't need Russell Wilson to be. I hope he's elite and the best he can be and good, but even his worst version is so much better than what we've seen on tape. I think you really got to grind the tape weekly to see it. I know, some fans are definitely attuned to it, but it's going to be such an upgrade for him to have actual professional quarterback play finally.
And then to go to the defensive side of the football. And I feel the same with Theo. It's get over that. Let's talk about Theo and Tyrone. Like Theo, get over the injury. Just get back out there. If he's back and fully functional in training camp, that's a win. I think it's trending in that direction, but I don't know shit, right, about being a doctor or any of that stuff. But that's a good thing. And we know he was just in over his head early in the season, and he stabilized towards the end. We saw him be used up the seam. Daniel Jones, remember, delivered the pass up the seam to him a couple times, and you see the natural athletic ability. So I remain high on Theo, and then Tyrone Tracy Jr. now has a really solid compliment in Cam Scadaboo. You have Devin Singletary there if you want to just change it up a little bit. I think that's a solid trio. It's better than the trio the Giants had last year with Eric Gray as the third guy. And then there's Turbo, see if he can crack a roster spot. But it's Newman and Phillips, though, that I look at. And just the secondary, you look at it on paper and it's like, okay. There's some, it's not terrible, but it doesn't inspire hope. But if both of those players, and it seems like they have, a very insatiable work ethic, it seems like they're both professionals. If they can take the step forward that we believe they both can, and we're not even talking about, hey, you're going to become a top 5 player at your position, just another step off of their rookie season. That's a freaking win right there.
Sure.
And it's going to result in some turnovers. Plus, I think I heard that Drew Phillips had LASIK eye surgery.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can start coming away with the football, because that's like the one area of his game that he's just not proven at college or the professional level.
You're right about that. By the way, this just reminded me of other news that we haven't covered on the podcast. The Giants and the rest of the NFC East are going to be on the in-season Hard Knocks this year, which is going to be really good for us from a content standpoint. I just want to throw that out there for those listening. We'll break that down within a weekly, one of our week. Maybe we'll do its own show. Honestly, we know sometimes we get to that part of the season, the previews of the games aren't doing more than like 500 views an episode. It's like, oh, preview of the Giants versus the Falcons in week 14. Like nobody cares, but hopefully they do this year. But either way, we'll cover that. Just something I wanted to bring up. Let's get back. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick. What is Joe Shane's mindset going to be when these Oh, he is so pissed. It would be funny to be like a Tim Robinson sketch or skit to bring Tim Robinson, whatever his show is called. You'd probably know. It's like, I don't remember what it's called, whatever.
I think you should leave.
I think you should leave, where it's just like, oh yeah, here's Joe. And then Joe Shane doesn't say anything when the camera is there. Like he just shuts the fuck up. Like every time it's just like him just sitting there. He doesn't say a damn word to that freaking camera, just being all awkward and shit. Like, why would he at this point, man? Like, I feel like he put his foot in his mouth so hardcore through that first Hard Knocks, to the point where we were talking about him losing his job. And some of the reasons why wasn't just because the Giants were bad. It was the process that we saw during Hard Knocks that made us sour on Joe Shane. And now they're coming back into the building with the stressors of an in-season Hard Knocks. Oh my gosh. How many episodes are we going to get just Giants? I don't really exactly know.
I watched last year's North, so I don't know. But I believe from my memory, Nick, I did watch like one episode or a piece of an episode. I wasn't that interested. I thought they did every team, every episode. A listener will have to follow up. Maybe some teams don't get in every episode, Nick, but it's once a week. Yeah. I think they cycle around the 4 teams.
Okay. All right. So we'll learn something about the other 3 teams as well.
Oh, that's the cool part. You're good. Great point. We get to learn more about the NFC East rivals as well. So that'll be definitely something excited about for 2025. It's not what part of this list, but it's something. Let me just throw one more thing in there. You kind of touched on it a little bit with your point about the pass rush, but I'm just excited, Nick, to see Dexter Lawrence with fewer double teams, because the reality situation is if you're scheming to stop the Giants, and we talked about this on a couple episodes ago, Dexter Lawrence's double team rate was astronomical, through the roof. No one even came close to being doubled as much as Dexter was last year. Is that going to be so easy for teams to do with Abdul Carter on the field? I don't know. And even Darius Alexander, potentially, if he lives up to the hype already, I don't know if it's going to be that easy to just double team Dex. And if the reality of the situation is the result of that is Dexter sees fewer double teams, that's a freaking damn good thing for us, because Dexter Lawrence against a single team, against one guy in the on the offensive line is not. I mean, we've seen him destroy Mustipher. We've seen him just take to these guys to the woodshed.
Yeah, you love bringing up the Mustipher one. That was
I love the Mustipher. It's some of my favorite tapes ever of any player on the Giants in the history of this team.
The Bears wanted to come out.
The Bradbury one too. He destroyed Bradbury too. One of those games.
Garrett Bradbury. Yeah, those were rough. Yeah, no, Dex seeing less double teams. Yeah, that's ideal. I'm wondering, I think, like, if you're an offensive coordinator or an offensive line coach, you're circling Dexter Lawrence still first. Yeah. And you're like, I got to worry about Abdul Carter too, like that. And then they still got Brian Burns is the 3rd guy coming up. Brian Burns was the first on Carolina for a while. Right. Brian Burns was the first on Carolina to the point where the Rams wanted to trade 2 first-round picks to get him. That was like 2.5, 3 years ago, right? He's still like, 26 years old, Brian Burns. So the Giants are in a good place from a pass rush perspective. I want to go back to the offensive side of the football, though.
Okay.
And I'm not knocking on wood as I say this. Andrew Thomas healthy. A healthy Andrew Thomas with Jermaine Illuminor starting at right tackle. And what can this offensive line be? As we brought up on the last episode, Dan, I have my reservations about the interior offensive line. John Runyon, JMS, Greg Van Roten. I think that is probably, in its totality, at best, an average interior offensive line. I think you can argue that maybe it's slightly below average, but the tackles, I think this is an above average tackle pairing, like a solidly above average tackle pairing, bringing the offensive line to maybe slightly above average to average. But overall, having Andrew Thomas as that bookend and being able to be like, hey, you got 11 on Dallas Cowboys. You go and you block him. And then you can just allow those other 4 to maintain and do what and just adjust to what the front is doing. That is that allows me, it gives me at least somewhat of a confidence that Russell Wilson will have enough time to be able to deliver those moon balls to Malik Neighbors,
Right,
and all these other players that are on the team. So yeah, the offensive tackle situation healthy. That's something I'm excited for. Hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. If we can get a full 17 games from Andrew Thomas, and hopefully more if they make the playoffs, 17 from Thomas and Illuminor, it alleviates a lot of my concerns for this offensive line and this football team, specifically in the passing game. Let me make that clear.
Yes.
But it alleviates a lot of my concerns there because there are going to be situations where we're going to need to let Russell Wilson get into rhythm and get into a groove from that standpoint. And the only way that's going to be possible is if we have good pass protection the entire way. There's going to be moments where you might not need good pass protection. He'll diagnose something like I talked about pre-snap, and he'll be able to just take a 3-step drop and throw it out there, which is something for some reason, Locke, DeVito, and Jones were just never able to do, even though Tyrod did it a year before, which really frustrates me. But he'll recognize those. But there's going to be moments where that's just not available. Like there's going to be too high split safeties, looks, and it's just like, all right, now you kind of have to drop back, process this thing, and get the ball out on time. The only way that's going to work is if the O-line does its job. So I'm excited for that too. My last one, I got one more, Nick. I don't know if you have any others after this. We'll let you get to that. But my last one would be, I'm excited. The Giants actually have playmakers in this secondary after adding Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo, and with the also added factor of Tyler Nubin entering year 2, and he was a playmaker at the college level. And I'm talking about plays on the football, passes defensed, and interceptions. This is a team that has gotten no interceptions, essentially, not 0, but very few interceptions over the last 2 seasons. We need those game-changing interceptions. A turnover could change everything. It's the second, at this point, it's the second most important factor in winning football games. It's no longer the first. Do you know what the first is now?
What's that?
It's really interesting. I just heard this from, was it Ben Johnson, the new head coach of the Bears, best offensive coordinator in football? He said, by the numbers, it used to be whoever wins the turnover battle is most likely to win. Now it's fewest sacks, not taking sacks. Sacks are now
sure.
Actually,
Joe Pesci's he's skeptical of this claim.
I'm also skeptical of this claim because I'm also not positive if I remembered this right from Ben Johnson. Was it sacks or was it something else? I'll have to look up this Ben Johnson clip. I'm like 72% sure he mentioned sacks were the number one factor in it because sacks have such a bad EPA. But I'm not ultimately. No, it might be. Was it explosive plays? It's one of those two. It's explosive plays or sacks. I think it's sacks. I want to stand by this. But point being, Nick, the second most important thing is still turnovers. So can we start to get those interceptions? And we'll round it back out with that.
Ben Johnson wants 20-yard explosive plays from a 1-yard line. Okay, that's just I'm reading someone's tweet.
I'll find this clip from the owners meeting. I'll find this clip and I'll come back to it on a future pod.
Either way, we know explosive plays, we know sacks, we know turnovers. They're all good for your team when you're the one generating those. Okay,
no, his was not taking sacks, I believe, is what his focus was on offense.
Yeah, not taking sacks too. Yeah, don't get behind the script. Don't have drive killing sacks like that. It's something the Giants have been plagued by, I think, for quite a while. But
and it could get worse with Russ, to be honest.
It could, because at least Daniel was evasive, and Daniel could get out of trouble because he's an excellent athlete. Russ is and he's big. Russ is 10 years older than Daniel Jones and 6 inches shorter. So that is some of the draw.
More, I feel like he's 10 inches shorter. No, he's probably only 6, but it feels like that.
He's listed 5'11".
Yeah, I just feel right.
And then so I think that's it, man. I mean, there's small things I'm excited about too, like how the Giants will use the back end of their tight end room. Can we get anything out of DJ Davidson, Jordan Riley, or any of those players? Will Elijah Chapman make the team? All that will be
Hyatt with Russ.
Russ. That's one for sure, but I'm not sold that that's going to be something. I think Darius Slayton with Russ is another one that we haven't talked as much about. We have brought it up. Darius Slayton with Russell Wilson, because Darius is
Wandale with Russ.
Wandale with Russ, really all these, it's just an upgrade to the passing game in general with these receivers. But overall, yeah, man, I'm excited for the 2025 season. See if the Giants can be one of those surprise teams. I'm excited to also go through all of the content that we're going to have leading up to the season and into training camp.
I think it's going to be an exciting season for us. I don't think that means we're going to be I'm not sold yet, and I'm not willing to say yet that it's going to be 2022 where it's
Yeah.
that level of excitement where they'll beat a Ravens team they're not supposed to beat, the Packers, and they'll make the playoffs. But I think they're going to be a lot more competitive and a lot more fun to watch this year than they've been in the last 2 years.
I'm not solidifying this, but this could be the most exciting 5-win team we ever see. Like a
Yeah.
team that's like,
They're
look,
going to win more than 5. I'm going to put my
I
money where
agree. I
even though
agree.
they're only favored in 1, I'm saying they're going to win more than 5.
I agree. Well, I think I agree with that. But my point is
Gonna
that
be
like
tough.
teams aren't going to be like, dude, this is a joke. Like it's
Right.
been, but
Right.
better football teams win, and they'll lose in the fourth quarter against this
Yeah.
team, and they'll
Yeah.
lose in the fourth.
Probably.
And I think a lot of this will be the season will unfold as early as like the first 2 weeks. Like if the Giants get blown out in the first 2 weeks,
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
yo, this is
Oh,
off
yeah.
the rails. And those are competitive. And if the Giants can steal wins, then we're talking about, man, maybe the
Yeah.
Giants will be a secret playoff team. 2 road wins in division, and now you're hosting the Chiefs in a
Yeah.
primetime game. That can set the tone for the entire year.
I'll say this, if they're able to finally find a solution with the personnel they have to stopping the run consistently, this is going to be a really good football team this year.
Yeah, that's
We'll
a
see if they
big
can do that.
that's
That's
a
a big
big if. And dude, players like Jeremiah Ledbetter and Roy Robertson Harris could be factors in that, right?
Yep.
Those could be depth signings that we look back on and be like, yo, man, Jeremiah Ledbetter, we didn't really think a lot about Jeremiah Ledbetter, but he's played a vital role on early downs for this team.
You mentioned it. Deontay Johnson could be a big factor in that as well, potentially.
He could, yeah. I mean, it's still an uphill battle. I don't want
Yes.
to put the cart before the horse, but there were at least enough signs. Whereas if he didn't get hurt last year, he would have earned snaps. Muasau earned a bunch of snaps,
Yeah.
and Johnson, I think, has more upside than Adarius Muasau.
Agreed. All right, that's all we have on today's Big Blue Banter podcast. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. What are you drinking there, Nick? What is that?
This is
A Heineken. I know it's not a Heineken.
Mason Perrier, France. It's a seltzer water.
Oh, Perrier?
Yeah. What did I say? Perrier? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it.
Look how cultured I am, ladies and gentlemen.
I always thought Perrier was Italian, but that's Pellegrino. All right. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, week. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, help us out. We'll talk to you again very soon. Go Giants.